Hi guys, cook with me as I give you a short story about a girl who was in internship. So the story begins. Pipeline never rested. Even at night, noise lived there. Men shouted in anger, women argued over water. Music played too loudly from somewhere nearby. A baby cried, then stopped, then cried again. Inside a small single room, Wangari awake on the floor. Her mattress was very thin, so thin that she could feel the cold cement pressing against her back. She turned slowly from one side to the other, trying to find comfort, but there was none. Above her, rats ran across the ceiling. She could hear their small feet scratch, run, scratch again. Every sound made her heart beat faster. She stared at the darkness and counted her breath. Sleep refused to come. Tomorrow was her first day at work, her first day as a dental nurse intern. She had waited so long for this moment, yet fear sat heavily in her heart. She finally sat up when she realized she would not sleep anymore. She checked her phone. It was still very early, before 5 a.m. Her body felt tired, but her mind was restless. She looked at her scrubs folded near her bag. They were mtumba. She had bought them from Gikomba after saving for weeks. They were clean but not ironed. She did not own an iron box. She could not afford one. The night before, she had washed the scrubs carefully, hung them straight, and smoothed them with her hands, hoping that would be enough. She touched the fabric gently and closed her eyes. For a moment, please, she whispered, just be enough. She stood up and washed her face with cold water. The cold shocked her awake. She tied her hair neatly, simple and clean. No makeup, no perfume, just neatness, just effort. She looked at herself in the cracked mirror on the wall. Her eyes looked tired, but determined. You are here to learn, she told herself softly, not to impress. Before leaving, she whispered a short prayer. God, don't let me embarrass myself today. Outside, Pipeline was already awake. The smell hit her immediately. Sewage, smoke, frying oil. The ground was wet in some places. Children ran barefoot between houses. Conductors shouted loudly, calling out destination. Town, Tao, Tao. Wangari held her bag close to her body and walked fast. She did not want trouble. She did not want to be late. She boarded a matatu heading towards Embakasi. The music inside the matatu was so loud. The seats were torn, the ride was rough, but she stayed quiet, her mind fixed on one place only. Eastview Medical Center. She had never seen it before, but she had imagined it many times. She arrived very early, too early, just after 6 a.m. The gate was still closed. She stood there, alone, her slightly wrinkled scrubs visible in the morning light, her bag hanging from her shoulders. She did not complain. She was just relieved she was not late. Standing there, she felt small but hopeful. At around 8 a.m., the gates opened. A woman walked in confidently. Her scrubs were sprinkled and perfectly ironed. Her posture was straight. She walked like someone who owned the place. She was the senior dental nurse. People called her the supervisor, not because it was her title, but because that was how she behaved. She looked Wangari up and down before speaking. You are the intern? She asked. Yes. Wangari replied quickly. You came early, the supervisor said. I live in Pipeline, Wangari answered softly. I didn't want matatu problems. The supervisor nodded once. Good, come in. Relieved washed over Wangari's body. The first 2 weeks passed quietly. The supervisor taught Wangari many things: how to prepare dental instruments, how to sterilize tools properly, how to speak to patients gently, especially the ones who were afraid. Patients here are many, the supervisor said one day. You must be fast but careful. Wangari listened closely. She learned quietly. Patients began to notice her. She is gentle, one said. She explains before touching you. Another said, those small words gave Wangari strength. She would return to Pipeline tired, her feet aching, but her heart felt lighter. Even with rats running across the ceiling, she slept better. Then, slowly things began to change. One morning, Wangari arrived early as usual and cleaned the dental room. She arranged the trays neatly, the way she had been taught in school. When the supervisor walked in, her face hardened. Who told you to arrange my tray like this? She asked. I thought it would help. Wangari replied softly. Don't assume, the supervisor said sharply. From that day, the air changed. Corrections became public. Words became sharp. One day, the supervisor glanced at Wangari's scrubs and spoke loudly. You should dress more professionally. Wangari felt heat rise in her chest. She wanted to explain about the Mtumba scrubs, about the iron box she could not afford, but she said nothing. Respect closed her mouth. Soon, whispers began moving around Eastview Medical Center. She thinks she knows everything. She doesn't respect seniors. She is careless. Wangari heard them. They followed her like shadows. Lunch breaks became lonely. People stopped smiling at her. At night, back in Pipeline, she lay awake again on her thin mattress, listening to rats, listening to shouting, listening to her own doubts. Maybe she was not good enough. Maybe she did not belong there. One busy afternoon, the clinic was full. Patients complained loudly. Children cried. Two patients began arguing over the queue. Their voices rose. Tension filled the room. Wangari stepped forward and tried to calm them. Please, let's talk one at a time, she said gently. Before she could finish, the supervisor walked in and said loudly, this confusion is because the intern cannot manage the patients. All eyes turned on Wangari. Shame burnt her chest. That night, she cried quietly on her thin mattress. She thought of quitting. She thought of giving up. A few days later, an elderly man came in for treatment. He was afraid. His hands trembled. Wangari spoke softly to him. Calmly, kindly, she explained every step. The man smiled at her. You have patience, my daughter, he said. The dentist noticed. The manager noticed. Soon, a meeting was called. Wangari spoke. Not angrily, not defensive, just truth. The room fell silent. Things slowly changed. The supervisor was cautioned. Eyes began to open. Time passed. Wangari completed her internship at Eastview Medical Center. On her last day, she stood outside the clinic and let the sun warm her face. She thought of Pipeline, of sleeping on the floor, of Mtumba scrubs, of fear, and she realized she had survived. Some places are loud. Some lives are hard, some uniforms are ironed, and some are not. But dignity does not live in clothes. It lives in patience, in kindness, in endurance. And those who rise from the floor learn to stand strong always. After the internship ended, life did not suddenly become easy. Wangari went back to Pipeline one last time, packed her few things, folded her clothes, and looked at the thin mattress on the floor. She remembered the rats on the ceiling, the noise that never slept, the fear that sat in her chest every night. She did not hate Pipeline. It had held her when she had nothing, but she knew she could not grow there anymore. With the little money she had saved, she moved to Utawala. The room was still small, but it had space to breathe. The floor was cleaner, the nights were quieter. The first night she slept there, she lay on her mattress and waited for noises that did not come. No rats, no shouting, just silent. She cried softly, not from pain, but from relief. For the first time in a long while, she felt she slept deeply. Finding a job was not easy. Wangari walked long distance. She printed CVs and carried them in a clean folder. She entered clinics with a polite smile and left with the same word again and again, "We'll call you." Days passed. Weeks passed. Sometimes her phone stayed quiet for long. She began to fear stories from people she knew. Someone had called a clinic she applied to. Someone had spoken badly about her. She did not need to ask who. She already knew. The supervisor from Eastview Medical Center had not let go. She was calling people, warning them, saying Wangari was low, careless, not respectful. Wangari felt the old fear trying to return. But this time it did not settle. She reminded herself of the patients she had helped, of the dentist who had noticed her, of the truth that had spoken calmly. She refused to fight back with noise. She chose to move forward quietly. One afternoon, while she was washing clothes in her Utawala room, her phone rang. A clinic she had applied 2 weeks before was calling. They invited her for an interview. She arrived early as always. She wore clean scrubs, still mtumba, still not ironed perfectly, but neat. She spoke honestly. She did not insult anyone. She did not defend herself too much. She simply explained how she worked, how she treated patients, how she handled pressure. The panel listened. One of them smiled. A few days later, she received the message. She had gotten the job. She still read it. Her hands shook. She sat on her bed and laughed softly, not loudly, just a quiet laugh of disbelief. She started working the following week. In that clinic, she was not shouted at, she was guided. Patients like her, colleagues respected her. Slowly, confidence returned to her body. Even then, the past tried to follow her. She later learned that the same voice had called again, trying to plant doubt. But by then, it was too late. Her work spoke for her. Her patients spoke for her. Her calm spoke for her. She kept showing up early, she kept doing her job with care, and people saw it. One evening, as she walked home in Utawala, the sun setting softly in the sky, Wangari realized something important. She made it, not because life had been kind, but because she had stayed steady. She had not been sabotaged, doubted, spoken about, yet she still stood. Some journeys sat on the floor, on thin mattress, under noisy ceilings, but they do not end there. And Wangari did not end there. Thank you for listening to my story till the end. And just a reminder, don't give up. Another thing you should know, From right now henceforth, we will be doing stories as we cook. Everything will be there. You're just seeing whatever I'm cooking while listening to the stories. I love you so much, and thank you for watching. Don't forget to share and subscribe, and don't give up. This life is worth fighting for. Okay, I love you all very much. The food that we are cooking again is beef and rice alongside avocado that I'll be plating for you right there. And it was food for 2 people. Again, don't forget to watch till the end. Subscribe. I love you. Bye bye.